All right, should we talk some BFLs?
Yeah, it is now time for the BFL Weekly Update.
Oh, my God.
You love it, right?
We need some intro music for that.
Well,
That's for sure.
I can maybe slather on some intro music later.
Do that one more time for us.
No, this is a one-and-done thing. You don't get to
BFL
call...
Weekly Update! You sounded like Oprah Winfrey when she's like, these are my favorite things! And the crowd's going crazy.
Man, you must have watched a lot more Oprah Winfrey than I have.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get into this BFL news.
Yeah, so the first one I've got down here, volunteer division on Cherokee Lake, Jack Faulkner, the second, caught 16-11, picked up the win.
All right, how did he do it?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and let him talk about that right now.
Ooh, okay.
First thing that morning, we started out throwing top water, and I caught one keeper, and then I caught one of the better fish there early on top water. And then we just kind of ran that pattern there till about 9 o'clock, and then caught a limit, and then started fishing deeper, and I probably caught 20, 25 keepers all day, and just most of them after 9 o'clock we caught deep. And most of those were on a spoon, and then we had swim in a Cinco deep. Top water we caught on a spook, and then most of those were right off the main channels where we caught the fish on the spook. 2 years ago I finished 4th, and then the year before that I think I was 12th, and then last year I was I think 18th. I've had chances to win it each year. I always let fish get off. This year I didn't let a fish get off. I don't think that I had hood.
Now, the most interesting thing I learned when I was talking to him was that he wasn't throwing your typical flutter spoon. He wasn't even really throwing a typical jigging spoon. He was throwing a Man-O lure spoon. It's almost like a walleye type spoon, and he basically said that that's the deal on that lake. That's what he likes to throw there, and I thought that was really cool that he had it dialed in enough. And honestly, he was swimming a Senko out deep. Like, he had this lake really dialed in. He knows what's going on there, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Cool. Congratulations to Jack Faulkner.
For sure. Next up, on the Potomac, the Shenandoah division, Omari Navies, who's a boater in the Rayovac coming up, and Anthony L., who's a co-angler in the Rayovac coming up, both caught 17 pounds, tied, and they were fishing about 50 yards apart.
Really interesting. 17 pounds even.
Yep, exactly
okay.
17.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Anthony,
were they fishing the same?
They weren't actually fishing the same cover, from what I could tell. They were...
like the same baits?
They were fishing similar baits. L was fishing a big jig, and Omari was throwing a jig and a pit boss, both in black and blue. But Omari was fishing in spatterdock, and L was fishing in milfoil, but just very close to each other, sort of in that similar area. And actually, Omari said he watched L catch about 17 pounds in like the first half hour of the tournament, just right over there, and he was sure that he wasn't going to win. Like, he did not think he would win, and even when he came in, he thought for sure L had just crushed him in the morning and beat him. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Were there any problems either one of them mentioned when they were fishing so close to each other, or? They
were actually both very complimentary of each other. Because they both did well and caught fish, and L, who, by the way, side note on L, I keep wanting to call him Els because that's the nickname for Jacoby Ellsbury, and it's driving me crazy. But L, basically he said that Omari was great. He fished his water. He didn't come over and infringe on his little area. And Omari pretty much just said the same thing about L. So obviously they got along pretty well.
And you mentioned 17 pounds even, and you said 18 pounds a day you think will win the Rayovac?
I think I said 17 and a half.
17 and a half? Okay.
But yeah, I guess I could see 18. I will say I don't see 19 like Scott Martin predicted.
Sure.
But yeah, that was a pretty cool event. It's neat when you get two winners.
Definitely.
Next up, in the South Carolina division on Lake Watery, which is a great name for a lake. Gonna be honest. Steve
Lake
Phillips.
Wet.
Yeah. Steve Phillips. He caught 19-12, biggest weight of the weekend. he caught them all on a Norman DD22, and I've got a little bit of audio right now, basically explaining, his pattern and what he was doing in that event.
I was kind of surprised. I mean, some weight's been coming in pretty strong, and I went with 19 pounds, and I thought sure it'd take 21, 22 the way they've been biting. I know a lot of fish have been in the grass. A lot of people have been catching good, the bass in the grass real good. I never went to the grass, and because I knew what I was going to do. I was going to go deep, stay deep, and that's just the way my pattern was.
What was your pattern?
Deep cranking bait, off the ledges and pumps, things like that. Some of them has rock, some of them have a few stumps on it. Sometimes I'll sit in 21, 22, throw up into 13, 15 feet, or sometimes I'll reverse. I sit in 10, 12 and throw back out. I knew what I was going to do, but the thing about that, water is not a real big lake, and when people see you catch fish, then boom, it's over with then. So it can be a hit and miss. They might not bite that morning, go back, check it later, and then you catch 3 or 4 real quick. But you're really fishing behind a lot of people. It just matters when the fish is ready to feed.
The most interesting thing about that audio to me was that he said he was surprised to win. He's won this event 3 times. He needs to stop being surprised. He needs to just realize that he's really good and might win any of these events.
Maybe he's just very humble.
He could very well be very humble, and a lot of these guys are. But you know what? Don't be so surprised. He said it twice in a row is the thing. Because the last one he won, I read the release when I was writing the pre-release for this event.
Sure.
He was like, yeah, I was really surprised to win. I didn't think I would have enough. He said the same thing this time, almost word for word.
Come on, Steve. We've heard that before.
Yeah. Know your stuff.
Congratulations, Steve Phillips.
For sure.
Top weight of the weekend.
Yeah, Joe, do you want to take this next one?
Well, kind of. I'll talk about the next one. I didn't actually get to talk to him because BJ Davis didn't answer his phone.
I did get a text from later in the day at about 8 o'clock in the evening. He was at work.
Of course, yeah. I would say a lot of these guys, are Monday through Friday. They have a real job, which is understandable.
BFL's working man's tournament.
When we were trying to write the press release on Monday, wasn't able to get in touch with him. According to tournament reports, BJ Davis won the Ozark division on Truman Lake. BJ won with 12 pounds, 11 ounces, and he was fishing a red shad worm out deep. Interesting note in this event, BFL All-American winner Mark Skora finished 6th. So
just another top 10.
All he does, he goes right back home after the All-American, hangs out for a few days with the wife and kids, and then, bam, he's back out there on Saturday fishing another BFL.
That man can catch fish.
Impressive.
So can BJ Davis.
It's impressive. Sikora got some great press from that BFL win, by the way. Too.
Oh, yeah, he has gotten some.
I don't know if you saw that.
Some really
St.
nice
Louis
press.
Dispatch this week, big article. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice job, Marcus Sikora.
For sure. Next up, and finally for this weekend, the Cowboy division. They were fishing the Red River, same place, I believe, where we launched. Well, maybe not, but Red River, side of the Forest Wood Cup last year.
Yes.
Brooke Morrison won. He caught 13 pounds, 12 ounces. Had to deal with some really high water. The conditions were real fluky. The river came up like 2 feet in a week, he said. Kind of blew out some of his spots that he'd found in practice. He had one spot where we caught 2 fish out of. He was happy with that. It sort of held up. But then he had a sort of tertiary spot that he went and hit, and that's where he caught most of his limit, caught his better fish. And he caught all those on a pack of craw, a reaction innovation sweet beaver, and throwing a spinnerbait. And that's your BFL weekly update. For more like this, check out the rest of the FLW podcast at flwoutdoors.com or on iTunes.